everyone. Got a special video today. We were challenged to do a disposable single blade shave with a soap cheaper than $14. There's a lot of soaps that I thought of that came to that, but the top three, and I don't want to give any more than that because again, there's a lot of them. Top three that came to mind: Arco, obviously. That stuff, I love Arco. I used to use it every day whenever I first started out. I picked up Prosso Red and a 12-pack of Arco before I even knew if I liked it or not. That was not smart. I don't recommend that because it's definitely a scent that not everybody likes. I'll put it that way. I love it, and a lot of people do. That's one reason why we're not using it today. Another, I wanted to use something that you could get at the store. Another thing that came to mind for that, anybody who's just starting out, because that's what this video is targeted towards, more than likely isn't going to have a brush. In that case, I'd recommend you grab a gel, because I'm going to use just a little touch of it just to show you. Just that little, you can do it in your hands and make a decent lather. Not bad at all. You can't do that with a soap. Like the one that we're using today. I took it out of the tub here. A little puck of Vanderhagen luxury soap. Has a decent scent to it. I like it. I did have a puck of this before, but I learned the hard way. This soap is not microwavable. Don't do that. I was trying to do it exactly like I did with the Arco. I wanted it in a thing, and I didn't want to have to use it over and over for it to stop spinning. Anyhow, long story short, if you really, really want to do that, try and mash it down to the point where it won't, because these have little prongs. Not every shave bowl does, but a lot of them do. So we're using that. I showed the razor already. It's a little disposable guy. And then just because we are using a soap, I have a nice budget, no name shave brush from Amazon. But again, this is really just to show, mostly, like he said in that video, that it's all about more so prep work and what you do before the shave, and a little bit what you do after the shave. I did just get out of the shower, but I've been sitting here yapping. I actually, this is take 2 of the video, so my face dried up a little bit. It's been about 10-15 minutes or so since I got out. So I'm going to let that soak in for a minute. Make sure my face is nice and hydrated. And again, this is just personally how I want to do it. I want to do it mostly just from the stuff that you can get from the store. So I'm not going to be using any pre-shaves like a little sample of Sterling's unscented pre-shave soap, and I have a cube here. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that, Grandma needed me. But it's been a few minutes now, so we're gonna do it again. And pre-shaves. Pre-shave oils do exist. I haven't tried a whole lot of them personally yet. Mostly because the one I have tried, if anything, it made it worse. Especially whenever you're first starting out, because you can't build a good lather with a brush and all that just yet. It's one of those things that takes, I don't want to say skill, but it takes time to get it to a point where you know you like it. Because everybody likes their lather a little bit differently. Everybody likes it a little thin, or very, very thick, or runny, or everybody likes it differently. Point being is, you want to figure out what you do like to do. One thing for sure that I highly recommend everybody does before you ever even put anything other than water on your face, make sure it's hydrated. And everybody in the wet shaving community already knows that. I don't have to say that, that's for sure. But it's definitely something that if you aren't into the hobby yet, you might not know. And it's very important to not have irritation. I've been doing all kinds of stuff that I have very sensitive skin, so it might not be very good for it, but I do know this soap I've used a bunch of times. I've used this gel at least once. There's all kinds of stuff that you can use that will work great for a decent price, and you don't have to sink any money into it other than just like the little, like you won't have to spend more than $100 just to get started, you know what I mean? So now we got our face nice and hydrated, and we just got out of the shower and or held a warm towel to our face just to keep it nice and supple and bendable and all that fun stuff, you know what I mean? So we got our brush. This one is a synthetic, but if you have a natural hair, it's very good to soak it for several minutes before you even attempt to use it, because they can be very stiff whenever they're dry. This one, you can just dunk in water and wring it out and it'll be good. But because we're going with a soap today, I'm just gonna go ahead and load it up like this. A little more water, I wrung it all out. Get all that extra. All that leaking off onto my fingers here. I'm just gonna rub that in as if it was a pre-shave soap. Just to make sure I get it underneath all along the whiskers. One second, don't know what that is. All kinds of funky stuff going on today, but point being, we just want to get that nice and hydrated. Get that soap underneath all the whiskers, and then personally, I like to paint it on really dry, which is why there was no water in my brush. And I got this tip from, I'm really horrible with names, Ariana Evans, owner. He was on Razor Emporium's channel and was talking about paint it on real thin, right? And this should work with any kind of soap that does lather. You paint it on real thin, right? And then grab our water here, just the tips of it, just up to that little line there. Ta-da! And if you want to find out if you like a thin lather, stop right here. If you're in a hurry, stop right here. This will work just fine. Personally, I like to go a little thicker than this, so we're gonna get a little more water and do it again. And just keep repeating that process until it's as big and as thick or thin as you want it to be. And if you ever have too much water, like it feels like there is right now, go back to the puck, get a little more. Nothing ever says that you can't. Alright, we'll call that good. I'm just going to do the same thing I would as if this is a regular safety razor. Just going to run it under the warm water. I set it flat to the face and find our angle. I was worried about the blade not being sharp enough. Gotta be honest there. Not too bad. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with these. I've never used a single edge disposable before. This is definitely, if you don't know, if you want to get into safety razors. Doesn't feel quite the same, obviously, but starting to struggle a little bit whenever my hair gets a little thicker, like less spacing together. But yeah, I'd definitely recommend this. If you're just starting out and you don't know if you want to spend all that money, what I'm using today will cost you less than $10 to try. Because the soap was less than $5.50. The razor come in a pack of 12. Again, really, really cheap for that. And I got a little thing of Gillette aftershave to try out. Because again, just to keep the very affordable theme, that stuff was only, again, $3. There's all kinds of stubble left. That is a very mild little thing. But again, it's a disposable, and you see how tiny that little gap is in between the blade. You almost can't see it. It's gonna be very mild. because this is just some cheap, generic disposable, I'm not gonna do a full 3-pass or even probably a 2.5. I might do a touch up if this still feels like it has enough sharpness in it, but it's definitely doing the job. Yeah, we're calling it after this pass. It's still obviously it's shaven. Pretty nice actually, it's not bad at all. But I feel it just ever so slightly starting to tug. Which is pretty impressive to me. These things always used to tug, at least the ones with more than one blade did. Very, very interesting to me. Forgot what pass I was on. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then personally, I like to rinse the soap off with like lukewarm, mildly warm water, right? And then I take the cold water here. And usually I'll dry my face off before that and use that for alum, but just for demonstration purposes, that's what I like to do. I like to wash the soap off with a nice warm water, just to keep it nice and comfortable. But that cold water is it's not 100% necessary for everybody. But if you do have real sensitive skin and suffer with irritation and all that, I do recommend it. It shocks your pores, closes them up, much less irritation. And that's another thing. Another reason that I chose this soap, apart from just being available at most box stores. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It does pretty good. I did 2 passes. I still got a bunch left in this brush here. It was starting to get a little thin. But again, if you ever need more, I don't know any soap that stays thick for several passes in a small brush like this. That's the key to having multiple passes worth of soap, is to have a big brush. But whenever you're first starting out, I actually highly recommend you don't do that. Simply because those smaller brushes, I don't know if you've seen it while it was fast forwarding, but I missed a spot right underneath my nose there. And if I had a real big brush, here, I'll show you. If I had a big brush compared to my little tiny one here, that little tiny one, you can do the finger trick and paint that little spot. But for the big one, you have to do that to get that surface area to a smaller spot so that you don't get your nose. You don't have to do that with a smaller one. And they're cheaper. So, whenever you're first starting out at least, I do recommend a smaller one. And I do have smaller brushes than that even. Dropping all kinds of things. But that's a topic for another day anyhow. We're talking about this guy. And why your post and pre-shave are so important. Normally, and I will use the Thayers, because not every box store, but a lot of them do have some sort of witch hazel. Normally, personally, I would use alum after every shave. Because the only form of alum I have found in any box store are these little pencils. I will not be doing that today. Instead, we're just going to go with witch hazel and Gillette, which will be just fine, I promise. In fact, a lot of wet shavers skip them both. You don't have to use them. I've just found that a facial toner, like a witch hazel or an alum block, any of those help a lot. So we're going to take our Gillette aftershave gel, and yeah, that's a gel. Just get a little bit on the fingers here. That is not flat on the bottom. Okay. Yeah, I can see why this is underrated. $3. You get 2.5 fluid ounces. It smells like deodorant, but that feels great. Nice and hydrating. Got a slight cooling effect. I like it. Very good. Very, very good. Alrighty. Because that's all we're doing is the box store shave. That's all we got today. We aren't going to be putting on any more or anything else. And guess what? A little bit in my trouble areas. But that was almost like, take my T2 here. This is the stainless steel version. Turn it down to 1, where it's really, really mild and there's like no space in between. And honestly, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. Not gonna lie. But, hey, it just shows you do not have to spend a lot of money to get a very nice shave. It is all about your post and pre-shave and your technique while shaving, because at least if you're going to be switching to these, that's another reason why this is a really good example. It does not pivot, so you cannot put a ton of pressure. I put the guard back on, by the way. You cannot put a ton of pressure on your face. Otherwise, it's not gonna look pretty. I'll just put it that way. But, alright, just wanted to do that real quick. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Catch you next time.